In this video, I want to show you a tried and true step-by-step method on how to find the best selling digital products using data and SEO. There's so many tools out there, so I understand that it can be very overwhelming as a beginner entering this space. So hopefully in this video, I can kind of break it down, show you some tools that I personally use and what features you should look out for. So this video you're about to watch is from a virtual summit I did a couple weeks ago. The event went really well. Everyone loved the presentation. I got some amazing feedback on it, so I really wanted to repost it on YouTube for you guys. Hope you enjoy, and let's get into the video. Hey guys, so I hope everyone is enjoying the summit so far, and I'm very excited to be speaking with you today. I feel honored to be here, and I hope I can bring you a lot of value in this session. We'll be going over the step-by-step process on how to find the best digital products to sell using SEO. This is a very powerful method just because you can utilize data to help validate your ideas. So we're not spending hours and hours creating a digital product that no one wants. It's something that I definitely did way back when I first started selling on Etsy. And since then, I've never made that mistake again. And when it comes to using different Etsy tools on how to do research, how to find SEO, it can be very overwhelming not knowing what to use. So in this session, we'll be going over the different tools and just how I navigate these programs and my step-by-step process on how I proceed. Just a quick introduction, I'm Brandon. I've been selling on Etsy for over 10 years now. I first started selling physical products like wooden wall art. I was doing bracelets, cake toppers, but soon discovered digital products, and then I've been doing that ever since. This wasn't my first career. Before this, I was actually an electrician in the construction field and did that for over 7 years. So if you're someone that's in the transition from a full-time job or career trying to get into Etsy full-time, it's definitely possible. And if I was able to take that leap, you can definitely do it as well. And just a quick question, I would love to know what kind of occupation you're in right now. What are some of your goals? What are you trying to achieve? And please let us know in the chat. All right, so since this video is going to be about selling digital products and using SEO, which will definitely focus in this session, but just a couple other bonus actionable tips I want to provide with you are the two following. Let me just look at some quick digital products and we can go from there. So let's search printable as a general topic. So something I see a lot of people make a mistake are their mockups, all right? A lot of people aren't doing enough research on their competitors, knowing what's working, what type of text to display in their mockups. And here's something for you to think about when you're proceeding with your mockups, okay? And it's just as simple using the 5 W's. So the who, what, where, when, and why. And the important 3 is who's buying this product. So what kind of demographic it is, what are they buying these products for? So when you think about what kind of mockups should you present these in so they can have that in their head? And then lastly, why are they buying these products? So you want to list these things out in the mockups itself, but also in the descriptions. But just a quick tip for you to think about every time you're proceeding with digital products, not just in the keywords and SEO, but also how you're presenting them. Now let's get into the actual core of the session, which are how to find digital products to sell using SEO. All right, so there's a lot of different ways on how you can approach the product researching phase, but for me, I like to break it down into 3 simple steps. The first step is to do a broad keyword research. This is where we have an open mind. We're just trying to figure out and dabble into different categories. So this is for someone that's totally just starting out, not knowing exactly what specific niche they want to get into, but you might have a general idea on the category, let's say. So as we like to keep it brief, let's start with a category like wedding. Okay, so it's a very broad category, but within it, there's a lot of sub niches, but we have to start identifying which of that category we want to tap into. So the tool we'll be using is EverBee. So maybe you're familiar with it, maybe you're not, but it's a Chrome extension tool that you can install on your browser. I use Chrome for it, but it might work with other browsers, but don't quote me on that. But if you're using Chrome, then perfect. And they actually have a free version you can start as well, so it's not bad at all. But basically what happens is whatever page you're on, if you go over here and you click on analytics, it scrapes all the data from your actual search page, figuring out what the keywords, what the tags are, how much revenue they're making, estimated, how much sales they're making as well, what the favorites are, when was this listing listed, a lot of different information you can gather from it. So let's do a quick example here. Let's come up and type in wedding. Since we're going super broad, I'm just going to search wedding right now, okay? Actually, this might be too broad just because wedding can be a lot physical and we're trying to hone in on digital. So let's do wedding template, okay? So wedding template can still mean a lot of different things. And as you can see right here on the screen, it's got a bit of everything. So here we're going to go to the left hand side and click on analytics. And right now it's just scraping out all the different data from the listings that was on the previous page. All right, so now that it's all loaded, it only took a couple seconds, which is pretty good. And I always like to filter out the estimated revenue in the last month. So let's click on that to see what the top ones are. So here, which is super interesting, this is where you can start clicking on different listings. Coming down here, you got ones that are doing almost 50,000 USD. And these are monthly, right? That's insane. Just from one listing. So that's cool. Maybe you want, this is a cake topper, but this is not a digital product. So maybe we'll skip this one. But if you're doing physical, that'd be amazing for you, all right? Over here, $20,000 for a bridal shower. What is this? Shower games, bridal shower games. So this is cool. This is just edible signs and tickets. So I'm pretty sure this is a digital product as well. And you can see right here, the listing has been 2 months, right? So right now we're thinking, cool, we tapped into the wedding category. This is bridal showers game. Very interesting. I didn't think about it, but something to keep in mind. So we're going to favorite this, okay? And add it to a pile of listings. And if you don't have this tool, if you don't want to favorite it, you can just copy and paste the listing and save that as well onto a note or something like that, okay? Coming down here, this one already saved from before, but what is this one again? Let's see. This is a page wedding planner printable. All right, so a totally different category, a totally different subcategory than the bridal shower games, right? This is a wedding itinerary. Again, 2 months old, doing $10,000 a month. This is no joke. This is right. This is pretty cool. So if you haven't already, you can favorite this as well. And like I said, I'm doing the wedding category right now, but you can apply this to any other niche, right? And just start with a very broad keyword for step 1, and then we'll niche down in step 2, and now which I'll show you in a bit. Okay, cool. You'll save this, take some ideas, look at the tags over here. I might need to move my face here, it's in the way. Also, as I'm going through this, I'm curious, what are some other digital product ideas that you want to start exploring? Let us know in the chat. I'm just curious because there's so many different categories. You can do printables, planners, resumes, social media templates, SVGs, of course. You can do presets, right? Lightroom presets, so many different categories. Let us know what you're interested or what are some ideas that you have. Let us know in the chat. All right, so this other one here, favorite here, 60 page. Okay, wedding itinerary, same thing, pretty cool. What are these ones? You got the wedding signs, welcome signs. Okay, that's pretty cool. So noted over here, this one is only $2,000 a month, which is definitely less than the other ones here. But if you think about it, it's still a really good listing. If you have a bunch of these $2,000 listings, you know, if you have 5 of these, that's $10,000 a month passive doing digital products. So super cool. I'm also going to be noting this down because I didn't really think about this. I didn't think about wedding welcome signs. So using a program like this, it really opens up your eyes once you start exploring. And every time you explore a new category, like trust me, you will be finding new things that you never thought about, giving you new ideas, right? And that's the whole point of this process, is to keep an open mind about different categories and just ultimately different keywords, different SEO keywords to use. All right, so now that we've done the broad researching phase, I've only did a couple, but definitely do more than this. The second step is to start being more niche, okay? And how you can become more niche in this is to start looking at the titles and tags within the listings that you researched. All right, just going to the favorites tab. Let me just move this over here. Actually, maybe I'll move this up here. All right, so over here, I'm gonna open up the tabs and just take a look at the tags. Wedding binder, wedding planner, or planning. You got the printables, notebook, wedding notebook, interesting. Wedding organizer, all right, cool. And as you're looking through these, you want to make a list of all of them. Maybe put it into a doc folder, maybe just write it down. Write down all these keywords. Welcome sign, printable welcome, very interesting. Okay, come down here. Let's see what else we got. Wedding weekend, wedding timeline, right? Like, you know, honestly, I didn't think about these kind of keywords. So super cool, put these all down, write them in a list. And that's pretty much for step number 2 is to categorize and organize your actual keywords, the findings from the first step, which is a broader research, okay? All right, so now for the third step, now that you have these keywords in place, since we checked out certain keywords and certain listings on how much you can make from them, you'll be like, okay, cool. Maybe I want to tap into these categories, knowing that how much you can make from it. But now you need to figure out how much supply and demand there are. And by doing so, you can use a tool called eRank. There's a couple other good ones as well. I use Sales Samurai quite a bit, and I also use Marmely sometimes. But for this example, I'll be using eRank, okay? So here you can start typing in a broad keyword again, or you can go very specific. But I'm going to keep this broad just so I want to see a general idea if it aligns with what we've researched in the first step or two. So let's type in wedding. We can just go from USA, but it's totally up to you. And you just come down here. So a lot of cool stats here, figuring out the countries of different people searching from it and the trends here, right? As you can see, it peaked pretty much a month or two ago just because of the season. Was totally fine. That's just because of the category we're in. And if you were to, just another bonus tip, if you were to jump into this category, you definitely want to start building up your shops at least 3 months before. Okay, don't do it like right before for a trend to pop up. It does take a bit for it to start building, start the algorithm to start helping your listings out. Okay, so something to keep in mind on Etsy or anything in general. You definitely want to do it a lot more before, start planning months ahead, okay? Great, so coming down here, this is what we want to see. So as you can see, a lot of these, oh, in case you're not familiar with how these keyword tools work, okay? Here are the tags, related tags to what we search. And what we search is just wedding. And over here, you go into the average monthly searches. And the most important ones are just the searches and the competition volume, okay? So competition volume means how much supply there are. And ideally, in any business terms, this is pretty much figuring out the supply and demand in a category, and in this case, in a specific keyword. And actually, just a quick question, what kind of keywords have you been using? Or have you been using anything like this? Do you use eRank, Sales Samurai, Allura, Marmalade, or EverBee? Like, I'm just curious what everyone is using or have not been. Let us know in the chat. All right, so coming down here, ideally what you want to see is something that has a high search volume and a low competition as possible, all right? So all these seem pretty saturated because these are generic keywords, so it's all red. So you come down here, wedding program. Is this something that relates to us? Probably not. Wedding timeline. Okay, so this is interesting. So remember earlier we talked about wedding timeline as a keyword that one of the listings used for the wedding itinerary listing. So this is a cool one. Wedding timeline has a good search volumes in the green and the competition is really low. So this is something that we would favorite. We can write it down in notes saying, I want to prioritize this keyword. All right, so that's a good find. Let's come down and see what else we can do. Guest books in the orange is not bad at all. This is actually really good. So look at how much search volume there are. There's 35,000 and there's only 31,000 competition. So this is pretty much like a 1-to-1 ratio, which this is probably the best. This is probably the best situation that can happen to you because since earlier we looked at this, almost 3,000 searches, 9,000 on competition, and that's still a green to green, meaning every one search, there's 3 competition, like in terms of ratio size, okay? Like 3 to 9, 1 to 3. So same thing, it's really good. But over here, this is a 1-to-1. So this is like top-notch stuff. So, I would put that in note as well. Wedding guest books. Okay, over here, wedding menu, not bad, still pretty decent. I will still tap into that. Okay, wedding programs. Maybe wedding programs a good one too. But yeah, as you can see, I'm just talking through my thought process and I find this super interesting. I love doing these researching phases and hopefully you enjoy this as well. Let us know in the chat. But just coming down here, as I said, we're just going through the word wedding and we're trying to figure out these keywords. So some interesting ones. And then what we can do is always come back up here to the search and be more specific with it, okay? Okay, let's try wedding timeline. Let's see what we can find. Come down here. Takes a little bit to load. All right, so it's loaded here. Same thing, the timeline we knew was a good one. Itinerary came up again, also a good one. So here's a good example, right? Even though this is green and green, like it's still a really good one to target. But if you have to compare which keyword to use as your primary keyword, and side note, primary keywords are the first keyword you would put in your listings, okay? So normally you would put a keyword, comma, keyword phrase, comma, right? You would do that and it helps prioritizing the primary ones to the least primary, now the secondary, and then so on and so forth. So here's a good one to decide which one you want to put on the first part, okay? So for me, if these mean the same product, let's say the same digital product, I would probably use wedding timeline just because of how much more search there are and also less competition, right? Like they're both good, like I said, but something to keep in mind as to what you want to pick for your keywords, okay? So here's another one, wedding day timeline. That's cool. Now some people search wedding day timeline instead of just wedding day. Even though, so this, another tip is this is a more long tail keyword than wedding, just because if you put in wedding day timeline, people can also search wedding timeline and it will hit wedding day timeline. Okay, so cool low long tail tip for you is to use this keyword. Okay, perfect. Coming down here, let's see what else we can find. Wedding template, order of the day. Okay, interesting. Not great over there. Over here, wedding checklist. Okay, so that's a different niche now, but As you can see how we got super niche into a sub category from just using the word wedding template and now going into itineraries, timelines, wedding checklists, right? And we can keep doing this and we can keep recycling that process, going back to step 1, using EverBee, using these keywords again, using wedding checklist, using maybe the wedding day timeline, putting that into Etsy again, and then running EverBee on it, seeing what listings are there, seeing what kind of revenues they're making, and keep going through that 3-step process. And if you keep doing that, you can really figure out the exact idea of what digital products you want to sell just by using keyword tools. The last shop that I did using this exact method, I was able to make around $15,000 to $18,000 in the span of first 3 months of using this method, okay? So this is something I definitely do all the time when I start a new shop, and hopefully this is something you can start implementing using data to help validate your ideas and the products. And yeah, I just hope you found this video helpful, and let us know in the chat what you think about it. Is this something that you already know? Is this something that's new to you that you feel like you can implement? I try to make it a step-by-step process that's super easy to follow, that you can use in any category you can. And yeah, I hope that was helpful, and you can definitely follow my YouTube channel if you want to learn more about tips and tricks on how to sell digital products in general. But yeah, thank you so much for taking the time. Truly honored to be here, and I'll be around to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.